What's up, fast boys and girls, and I welcome you to the next episode of the GSA Deep Dive, which is a format where we take a closer look at some of GSA's biggest moments in closest races. I'm Limcube and I'm involved with GSA since the early days, and I'm also working as a commentator for my favorite speed game, which is Super Mario Odyssey. So recently on the channel we had a Super Mario Odyssey any percent tournament, and they are pretty close usually, these races, but there was that one particular race between Stravos96 and LilKirbs14, which both of these guys are top level runners. The outcome of this one is something no one would have imagined. These guys ended up tying on the exact same frame. And we are talking about like a 60 FPS game, which the average runtime is about an hour long. So that is absolutely crazy. And while the odds of this are already like incredibly small, it just goes to show how insane the competition is in this game. But now join me for the GSA Deep Dive as we dive in to this race and look at the deciding moments. So the early game already was some of the craziest racing stuff I've ever seen, especially that sand fade out where both of them pretty much ended that section at the exact same time already, and we need to get a pretty clean one. We're basically rolling at the same time. Who will globe first is actually super close. Looks like what I can't tell. I actually can't tell.
Amazing. You can actually literally see the screens closing together.
And then we had some crazy sync going on throughout the entirety of the very early game in Sand and Lake Kingdom. So both of these guys were extremely close up until Wooded, which in Wooded there's a huge trick called Nut Clip, which saves a big amount of time. And for the optimal version, the most time-saving version, you only get one shot at it. And as we got there, Stravos actually got the trick without any issues, but LilKirbs failed the trick. He did get a pretty sick backup at it, but at the end of the day, Stravos probably saved around 10 to 15 seconds over Kirbs, slowly starting to build up his lead. From there on out, Kirbs would literally be pretty much in the backseat for this race throughout the entirety of the run, up until these guys got into the late game. And even though Stravos at the point of late game had probably built up a lead of about a minute or something, Bowser's Kingdom, which is like the second to last kingdom, features the hardest boss in the run, which has incredibly scary time losses attached to him if you do make a mistake. And just like that, Stravos didn't only miss the first attempt on climbing up the max leg, but he also actually fell down on one of the worst phases to fall down on at all. He did say after the race that he felt pretty robbed about this one. This fall is something that can occasionally happen, and if it does happen, there's not much you can do against it. Stravos even tried to save himself. There are several things that you can do to kind of play against that unexpected random fall that you can take off of the mag there, but it's incredibly unfortunate, and that was a massive time loss for him. Then, going into Moon, Stravos had still a lead of around 10 seconds going for himself, but this would slightly change then as both of them came up to Moon Skip, which is pretty much the biggest time-saving trick in the run. It's not necessarily hard, and it was actually found on the first day of that game being out, but you skip the entirety of that Moon Cave, which is a huge section. You basically jump off that Sphinx to skip that, and both of them really uncommonly actually had some issues with that jump, really losing quite a bit of time. But at the end of the day, going into the cathedral, the lead was still only around 8 seconds for Stravos. But obviously Moonskip is what is about to come up here. Very quick ground pound, sets up Cappy in a nice way, not going for the cap stall here, and this is actually gonna make him miss it. I cannot believe it. This has actually been happening way too often to Stravos. And also Kirbs, what is happening? Both of them actually failing that. Kirbs probably getting the better, and he, oh my goodness, actually Stravos also diving almost against that slope, and Kirbs having to reset up. The nerves seem to be incredibly high here. Stravos entering the cathedral at 0-9. Let's see what Kirbs will get on this one. Looking to be a 17. So the race just got closer and closer again, and then to top all of these events off, at the end of the final fight, the final Bowser fight, which is not the last section of the run, but the last fight you do, Stravos probably checked his nerves or something and actually forgot to skip a cutscene, almost losing him around 4 seconds. So going into the final section of the run, Stravos was only around 3 seconds ahead. And then that's where things get really crazy. Stravos actually ended up almost dying to one of the infamous tricks in the run called the 2D skip, which is not actually a skip but rather a shortcut, has been around for a very long time. He actually saved himself in a way that he avoided dying there, which would have probably immediately lost him the race. But the way that actually played out is that both of them were pretty much tied, making their way to the final room of the game. What happened in that room then is probably best for you to check out yourself. There, an early pillar might actually be the decider here. So let's see at first. Oh! Whoa, I can't believe it. Stravos almost dying, but he actually saved it. That's actually frame tied again. I can't believe it. Actually jumping at the same time. Stravos getting a little bit of clean out jump. So this is going to be the... Oh, no. No, I've never seen this. This one jump makes this a race in the pillar room. Every shot will literally count. I have no idea. This might be the closest race I've ever seen in my life.
I have never seen it be quite this close towards the end as we both claw our way into the pillar room here. You know, this is actually what it's going to come down to.
Oh my goodness. So that fade out wasn't even a second apart. Every shot will matter now. Looks like Stravos actually getting some shots a little bit far to the right, but I think he will still get that early pillar. Looks like Kirbs will get it as well. Both getting early pillar. I can't tell. I can't even tell who's going to win. This might be like a retime, but Kirbs getting cleaner claws on that second pillar. Third pillar about to come up. I can actually not believe what is happening right now. Looks like Kirbs once again having a little bit cleaner swipes, but no visible difference so far.
LilKirbs taking damage there though. Stravos' fireball is just a little bit cleaner.
I can't tell.
Oh my goodness, the pillars are falling at the same time. This is going to come literally down to the wire.
I literally can tell. They are clawing at the exact same time. This is once again looking like a frame time. The claw breaking at the exact same time. Capture at the same time. I can't tell. I don't know. What I'm going to do?
Oh my goodness.
The timer says Stravos won. The picture says Kirbs won. I can't tell.
This is unbelievable. This is going to have to come down to a retime. There's
Looking at these clips again, I still cannot believe what I was actually seeing there because I was the one commentating that race. I couldn't really tell by my eyes who actually won that one, and the timers did say some different values, but after carefully retiming and investigating the local recordings of both of the runners, we did find out that this was an exact frame tie, which is something that is kind of unheard of, especially for this game. No one was actually really able to believe that. Like, Twitter was actually kind of popping off. It was kind of crazy. This was the first time we ever needed like a rematch in a tournament like this. And that rematch happened. Kirbs won, and he's now waiting in the grand finals, which in the point of this recording, they still need to happen in about 2 days. But make sure to follow GSA on all socials so that you are actually able to find all of these races and all of these events happening, because you do not want to miss a race like this. These reactions were absolutely crazy. I still cannot believe what actually happened there. But that was it for the GSA deep dive, and thank you guys so much for watching. And let's have a lightning fast 2019 together.